Yeah, word up homies, Lewis Hamilton here, welcoming you to another wicked episode of Motorsport Monthly. Oh no, wait, I'm in the wrong podcast. Hello and welcome to Gareth Jones on Speed. He's Richard.
Hello.
And he's Zog.
Hello.
And if any one of the three of us was an expert, and none of us are experts in anything apart from Richard, who's an expert in Austin Morris hubcaps of the 1970s, would you say you're an expert in that?
I'm very expert at making spag bol.
That'll do. If any of us was an expert in spag bol, it would be Richard. And if any of us was an expert in movies, it would be you, Zog. I think of the three of us here, you're the movie buff, right?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a movie fan, it's true.
And you like your cars.
I like my cars.
In your opinion, what's the best car movie ever then?
What is the best car movie ever? That is a tricky one. There are a couple of things...
Tell us, which one is it?
I mean, I go for Vanishing Point. This is a classic 1970s road movie, which I think a lot of us will remember.
You've seen it, Richard?
Iconic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it has all the many classic elements of your 70s road movie, that kind of sense of being on a journey, but without necessarily a set destination. It's more about the journey than about a destination. It's more about an escape than about having a particular place to go. There's a nihilistic element about it without sort of giving away any plot spoilers. If you haven't seen that movie, that's one you absolutely have to see. Don't bother with the remake.
No, the remake is terrible, isn't it?
It is. It's
Why
horrible.
would you remake Vanishing Point?
Well, you could say that about any number of things, but yeah, forget about the fact that the remake has actually, in some ways, quite a tempting-looking cast, because your man with a sword, Return of the King, Lord of the Rings.
Have you
You're
seen any
looking,
of the
you're looking
Lord of the
blankly.
Rings films?
Yeah.
Have you?
Who played Aragorn in Lord of the Rings?
Who played Aragon?
Aragorn, yeah.
I
very
can't
good.
remember his name.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Girlfriend, can you help us, please?
Hello.
Who played Aragon in Lord of the Rings films?
I don't know.
Oh, good.
Thank
yeah.
you. That's
him.
right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Good.
him.
Yeah, excellent. Him.
I keep wanting to say Colin Jackson. That's not right. He's an athlete.
It's
Yeah,
we're going to.
Welsh athlete.
One of us is going to remember in about 4 minutes'
I'm
time.
gonna-
But
you
so,
keep talking.
Girlfriend's looking it up. I can
Vanishing
tell.
Point has to be probably my favourite.
Things
But
about
then
Vanishing
the-
Point, I think that you have to tell people if you're selling it. First of all, it has a Dodge Challenger in it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like first question. It is the Challenger, isn't it? Not the Charger.
No, Challenger.
Challenger,
More
yeah.
compact. Secondly, I think it has a nudie girl on a motorcycle.
I knew you were going to say there was a naked
First I
girl
saw
on a
that
bike.
film when I was about 14 or 15. I just remember finding it terribly exciting. A, Dodge Challenger. B, nudie girl on a motorcycle.
And then when you sort of get to have a slightly more sophisticated appreciative films, you actually realise that neither of those things is actually the best thing about that movie. And,
other
tremendous performance by Barry Newman as the driver.
Yeah.
And
Hang on, girlfriend's holding her hand up. Who is it?
Viggo.
Viggo
Viggo
Mortensen.
Mortensen,
That's it.
yes.
Viggo Mortensen. Yeah. So.
Morton
Thanks, Vic.
Harkett,
So, you know,
that's right.
you've got a great guy in, and he's obviously taking the Barry Newman role as the driver, but they screw up the remake by doing all kinds of stupid things. They try to give him some actual motivation rather than it being a more mysterious
quite-
aspect.
yes.
It's a mistake. But I'm just going to throw another one in here. In terms of racing movies, I think, you know, we always tend to think of Le Mans maybe as
Yes.
being sort of the great racing movie, and it is fantastic. But there's a cracking John Frankenheimer movie, Grand Prix, with James Garner.
Why do you race?
Actually,
I race because I have to live.
Haven't seen that, you've got to check that movie out.
I
Absolute
thought, Zog, you were going to say, you know, classic greatest racing movie ever made. It's got to be Driven, hasn't it? That Sylvester Stallone movie that was going to be an F1 movie, but wisely
and
Bernie
moving
said no.
swiftly on.
Yeah,
You know, yeah.
It's shocking, isn't it? Although the
Oh, yeah,
breakup
terribly,
of the cars is quite good. The way that they built glass fibre cars and crashed them, and they all fell apart. It was a great movie making.
Oh, you know, whereas Days of Thunder is actually not horrible. It's,
all right, isn't it?
it's actually okay.
From
It's,
memory. I haven't seen it since.
No, it's okay. But yeah, Driven, absolutely horrible. You can think of a bunch of movies that have got maybe sort of terrific car chases in. I mean,
Yes. Now,
Ronin, for example.
how are you
another
defining a
Franco.
car movie?
I don't think we have time to even go into that. It's like pornography. You know when you see it. You know if it's a car movie or not. It's not that easy to define, but you know it when you see it.
Okay, a Bond film is a car movie.
No.
Really?
Really, yeah.
Come on, there's a lot of car history in Bond. It makes it a car
Yeah,
movie.
no, but no,
I'm
but
going to
they're
throw
not-
something out there, which I was going to bring up later, but now seems to be the time. And I'm not just doing this because of the title. Planes, Trains and Automobiles. It's a road trip film.
It is, yeah. They've got what do they call that car? Was it the F car? The Citation?
No, It's a K car.
K
the
car.
main car.
The Dodge.
The one they rent.
K car.
That's
That's
a
what
K
they
car.
had.
It's a Dodge. I don't know what it is actually. An Aries convertible or something like that. Someone will say it straight, I'm sure. But I can't remember now.
The teeth marks
It's
on the
It's got
dash.
great
It's got it in the
cars
title,
It's
yeah.
got the lowrider taxi.
Nice.
It's got the K car that they rent.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's got the pickup truck. I know it's a minor part, but the last baby came out sideways. It's got that bit in it where they're
Yep.
riding in the back and they're all frozen, and then it cuts the dog and the dog's frozen. Ha ha ha. And it's got lots of cars in it. It's got the truck, the Oshkosh truck that they finally get the last lift to when the cars finally died. It's got that great bit in the airport where Steve Martin is trying to hire a car and then finds it's not there and does that great sweary thing where he's listing car makes. I mean, that alone makes it carier.
Actually,
and it's a road trip. And it's hilarious. It's one of my favourite comedy films of all time. I think it's a great John Hughes film.
You're making a good case for it. I think you may have persuaded me. My first thought was to say no, because it's so clearly a comedy and it's too many other things first. But no, you're making a strong case there.
It's left field, Richard. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting something more purist. But there again, they haven't yet made a movie about Austin Rover's manufacturing in the 70s.
It wasn't called Austin Rover in the 70s.
Although they have
wasn't
made a film
British
about sort of Ford manufacturing in the 1970s, Made in Dagenham.
Made in Dagenham,
which
yeah.
my mate Phil Cornwell is in.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good movie.
I look forward to the...
That's not a car movie, though, is it? I mean, it's set in a car factory.
True.
But
Not a car.
No,
movie.
it's not a car movie. No.
quite a sweet little film, though.
Another couple that I might just sort of pick out as being maybe slightly less well known, but well worth checking out. There's a super little movie called Two Lane Blacktop.
Oh, yes. Again, 70s American road movie.
Yeah, again, I mean,
Yeah.
the road movie is quite a 70s American genre, but yeah, this is one of the greats of the genre. It stars James Taylor and is it Dennis Wilson? One of the Beach
From the
Boys.
Beach Boys.
Yeah, Dennis
Really?
Wilson out of the Beach Boys.
Oh, yeah.
And the two of them play these two Californian dudes who are riding around the country
Taylor,
in
these James Taylor.
The James Taylor. Yeah, James Taylor, the singer, riding around in their souped-up hot rod, street racing people for pink slips. It's just all about them and the racing and the car. And there's this great little scene where they pull in at a gas station with a diner and so on attached, and they're having a quick bite. A girl and her boyfriend are clearly having an argument in the diner, and as James Taylor and Dennis Wilson are having a coffee and a bite to eat, she kind of storms out of the diner, just gets into the back of their car. They come out of the diner, get into the car, set off down the road. We've got the shot of them in the car with the girl in the back. There's no mention of the fact that all of a sudden there's a mysterious girl in the back of the car. The two of them are just staring at the road ahead, and after 30 seconds one of them sort of says to the other, the engine, she's not breathing right. That sums up the film.
That's a car movie.
In a world without sponsorship,
Ross, you're crazy. You can't afford to do this.
one man believed in the impossible.
I think we can do this. I think we can win the World Championship.
From the director of Resident Evil, the Michael Schumacher story, and the designer of the Benetton B195, comes a story of courage, of daring, of getting some Mercedes engines at the last minute.
Hold on. I think I can make this fit. Pass me that crowbar.
Starring Chris Martin from Coldplay as Jensen Button,
Damn it, Ross, I wish I'd gone to Williams when I had the chance.
Al Pacino as Rubens Barrichello,
Where are those stickers? The car, she's so naked.
and Fozzie Bear as Ross Brawn.
No one ever said this was gonna be easy, boys. Waka waka waka.
A motion picture to ignite the gasoline in your veins. Brawn GP.
In movie theaters May 4th, contains scenes of unexpected victory and an extremely vague beard.
Sniff Petrol with Gareth Jones on speed!
I was thinking, how can I get one of my favourite subjects in here? I don't think I'm an expert on car movies. I'm really not. I love cars. Do I notice cars in movies? Yes, sometimes. But I thought I could actually talk about the movie Star Trek Nemesis, because there's a car in that. Picard and Data and Worf are in this sort of futuristic sci-fi Baja bug.
But if you
Buggy.
need me, I'll be in the other room.
Yeah.
Shout me when you're done.
But as I was about to say, I decided against that because it might be stretching the envelope, right?
But if this was some kind of futuristic Baja buggy thing, Isn't that just like a 23rd century lunar rover? Or
It looks more like Mad Max. There's a sort of a chase sequence on this planet where they're driving around this thing. It's a bit too 20th century. They've dubbed on this sci-fi sound to it. But it's quite clearly a Baja bug. So I'm not going to talk about that because I wasn't going to talk about that. But I was going to talk about sci-fi cars, though, because I know a bit more about sci-fi generally than movies, I think.
Logan's Run.
Is there a car in Logan's Run? There's a robot that
there
hovers.
are 70s.
Dacia Logan's Run.
There are 70s.
Very reasonably priced
Dacia
feature.
Logan.
There are 70s sci-fi cars in Logan's Run. Although I think they might only be in long shot. Now that I think about it.
And Jenny Agutter.
Definitely.
And you know, you're talking about that nudie girl in a film thing
Yeah.
earlier on. Jenny Agutter was probably my first nudie girl in a film. In Walkabout.
Yeah.
Walkabout.
Not just nudie
Australian.
girl in a
Was
film.
it Peter Weir's? Was that Peter Weir's? first
No,
film?
it was
First
Rogue. Nicholas Rogue, wasn't it? Who
Oh,
directed
yeah,
it?
right. Yeah, you're quite
Oh,
right.
I do actually know something.
Well done, yeah.
Jenny Agutter, young girl, lost in the bush in Australia, takes her clothes off, goes for a swim in a creek, I think they probably call it over there. Possibly second most erotic moment of my entire life, that film.
Does she get attacked by a crocodile?
No.
That happened in Crocodile Dundee, didn't it?
You're
Jenny
confusing
Agutter
your
got-
Australian
Jenny Agutter,
films
no,
there.
but Linda Hamilton, not Linda Hamilton. What was her name? That girl. We're digressing anyway.
Yeah. Sci-fi cars.
Sci-fi
right,
cars.
Right, so not Logan's Run, not nudie Jenny Agutter, sci-fi cars. Do you remember the Judge Dredd film? The original Sly Stallone Judge Dredd, I am the law.
With the Land Rovers.
That's what
Yes.
I'm coming to. You
Well,
remember
I
that?
know a distressing amount about those.
Great. Not a
Detail.
car film, but I think Land Rover did brilliantly well out of being involved in that film. And they
Yes.
created
they did.
a look which I think in some ways they borrowed from in their real world cars after that.
Well, it was done by real world Land Rover designers. It was David Saddington, I think, who probably is still one of their designers. He did a load of stuff on that.
It was sort of like a forward control Land Rover, wasn't
Well,
it? You
it's-
sat
yes.
over the engine.
I warned you, I do know a lot about this.
Excellent.
Prepare now to
Yeah.
be told things
I
you
want
didn't
to.
want to know.
I do.
They
We
were
want to know.
based
Yeah.
on, do you remember the forward control Land Rover,
was
mainly
right.
of the 70s, the
Yeah.
101 wheelbase?
Yeah.
Bizarrely, a man who lives round the corner from me, and I'm assuming it's a man, because no woman would own a stupid car like that, but someone around the corner from me has got one.
Wow.
But oddly enough, every
many of them
time.
are there? How many
Well, they were made for the army, and they made
Yeah.
quite a lot of them. How many are left, I don't know, because they were never sold to the
So
general public when they were in production. They were all for the military. It's only
Yeah.
when they were decommissioned that they were auctioned off. And the chap around the corner from me has got one, and it looks brilliant. They are great. In fact, weirdly, I say no woman would want one. Every time my wife drives past it in the car together, she goes, "That is such a cool truck."
When was that film made? 80s?
90s, mid-90s.
So the forward control Land Rover had probably been out of production for 20 years.
Yeah, they stopped making them in about 77, 78. But the army continued to use them
Yeah,
for years and
as
years
they
and years.
do.
And so this is partly how it came about. Land Rover struck the deal with the movie producers and they said, we'd like this. The Land Rover design studio said, yeah, well, we've come up with this look of how we think it should be done. And then some Land Rover specialists, I can't remember the name of them, one in particular, were contacted to help make them. And in league with, I think, some people at Land Rover itself, they quickly realised the best thing to base these on would be the old forward control 101s. Happily, the British Army were just getting rid of one of their last batches of them. So Land Rover themselves bought back 30-odd forward control Land Rovers, cut the tops off, separate chassis so the body is almost immaterial, and just kept the lower half of the body. Glass fibre moulds of this design concept they'd come up with, dropped them on top. You had to get in, I think, with a hatch on top or through a window because they were very impractical. They were just movie props. They made one with a fully trimmed interior for close-ups. The rest of them were just background there to make.
Well, they have what
Yeah,
they call
they
hero
look like a
props,
really
yeah.
horrible kit car if
Yeah.
you actually got
Yeah.
up close. You
They
know,
took the
look
wheels,
like-
the
yeah.
normal 101 wheels, and they flipped them round. So they were mounted backwards, essentially, on the hubs. Inner faces outwards and
Yeah,
vice versa. And then they put glass fibre trim around that rim to make them look like they had big, chunky, futuristic tyres. Then, belatedly, to promote the film, the producers said, we'd actually like a couple of these at least to be road legal. And so they had to hastily cobble together.
Wow.
So if you ever see pictures of those things and they're not on the big chunky wheels from the film, they're on actually normal looking wheels, and they've got number plates on, and of course they're all from the 70s, so you'll see this incredibly futuristic, when did Judge Dredd set? I don't know, 22nd century or something?
Yeah.
You'll see this incredibly futuristic looking Land Rover. They were taxis, weren't they, in the film, or police cars, and yeah, it'll have like a British R registration on it because they had to put the number plates back on for the road, and they rebuilt them to be road legal. And they still exist. Oddly, the thing is, because 101s are quite sought after by collectors and such, some of the original movie cars were converted back into 101s. They had their old bodies put back on again.
Really?
And
Because they're more sought after by a slightly shoddy
like that.
movie
So
prop.
there are a few of the Judge Dredd ones still kicking around, but they built 31 of them, I think, in total, and a lot of them were converted back into Land Rover 101s. Who knows? The one that lives around the corner from me could have been the Judge Dredd movie. You'd never know. I did warn you when you were
it's good.
Now look what's
Fascinating.
happened.
I think that's probably one of the only two good things. No, the only one good thing in that Judge Dredd movie is the Land Rovers. I think they look tremendous in it. Drawing cars of the future to appear on television and in films, it's a tricky game. There are a number of routes to it. Using concepts is a good one. I can't remember the name of the film, but I'm pretty sure the Ford Probe 3, which was the Sierra when it first came out, appears in a film. I can't remember what. And the other one is to take an existing car and just tweak it slightly, or take something from the past that was futuristic. I know you've seen this. Children of Men.
Yep.
Yeah,
There's
good film. Clive Owen and
There's
Michael Caine's in it.
A DS in that.
CX, I don't think there's a DS in it. There's a CX estate, CX Safari.
And there's a multipler in
multiple,
that
yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Avon Team. Sorry, that was it.
Children of Men, it's not post-apocalyptic exactly, but it is that sort of, it's like a ruined
Axiom.
future world
Yeah,
where,
yeah.
We're using a lot of the old technology, we're keeping it lumbering on.
There's something very interesting in that, isn't it? The buses, they're just normal London red buses for the scenes in London. But the ads on the side, they're now animated, they're video ads, and actually
We're almost getting that
we're
now,
almost
actually,
there, aren't we?
yeah.
Because they can do roadside banners now. A lot of them are electronic. And so it's only a matter of time with thin film things. The buses will be doing the same thing. And because you sort of know that, you look at that film and you go, this is a tangible, rather nightmarish vision of the near future. Because there's enough in it that's familiar. It's not like it's all completely zany and set on the moon. It's just a few years up the road.
I seem to remember there was some pretty good futuristic car design in Demolition Man. The Wesley Snipes, Stallone beat-em-up movie of the near future. I can't remember who it was that worked on the futuristic pod car designs of that, but they did a good job of putting on the future road some vaguely plausible-looking designs.
Tell you what, though, talking of taking a concept and making it into a movie car because it's sort of futuristic enough, you can't beat the Batmobile. The original Batmobile, the Lincoln Futura concept from the 50s became the 60s Batman's company car.
Richard, the Batmobile.
Yes.
I was about to say, and for the next 10 minutes of the programme, I'm going to talk about the Batmobile. So we'll come back to this.
Chuck, our Brawn GP movie is killing it. It took $50 million in its first weekend.
Oh, that's great news. You know what? This means we're good to go on the sequel.
Yeah, Chuck, see about that. I've been looking into this. And the truth is, those Brawn guys, they only lasted for one race season. There's no material for a sequel.
Bull crap. There's always material for a sequel, Jack. What about the team they became? Right about that.
Yeah, I kind of figured you'd say that, Chuck, so I worked up a treatment on that exact subject. The Mercedes F1 team.
Great. Is it exciting?
No.
Has it got twists and turns and triumph in the face of adversity?
No.
Has it got anything interesting about it?
No.
Jeez. What's it called?
It's called Underperformance.
Underperformance? Oh, wait, you can't call it that. We're using that same title on the movie about Paul DeResta.
Gareth Jones on speed.
The Batmobile. Arguably one of the two greatest movie iconic cars, the other being anything driven by James Bond, particularly the DB5. Yeah, mostly the DB5. But the Batmobile has evolved in ways that the DB5 didn't. We didn't get, after the DB5, the DB6, the V8, because Roger Moore had poached that for the Persuaders. You didn't get that linearity. But the Batmobile has evolved over time from that original Lincoln Futura, and it was barely any different, wasn't it, from the Lincoln Futura, the Batmobile.
Yeah, they should put a couple of
black.
spiky fins on it, didn't they? And that was it. Added flamethrowers.
Beautiful.
Or maybe they were on the original, I can't remember.
But we're talking about the 60s TV Batmobile designed by, what's his name?
George Barris.
George Barris, thank you. Ben Bowlby, Bowlby, I was going to say.
Ben Bowlby?
He designed the Delta Wing. I was in that black car mode. But I remember being at Pinewood Studios when they were shooting the Batman film of, when would it be, 1986?
The first Tim Burton
The
one.
first Tim Burton Batman movie, 87,
What, with
88?
Michael Keaton?
Yeah.
I think that came out in 1989, so they're probably shooting in 88. Were they doing that at Pinewood then?
They shot some at Pinewood, yeah.
Because they built that Gotham City set, which sort of remains to this day in Cardington in the airship hangar up there.
Is that where it is?
I think they built it for that film, but obviously that was just the main city.
I went to interview the guy charged with building a lot of the props in the film, a man whose name is Derek Meddings, who really his foundation was Thunderbirds. He built all the Thunderbirds vehicles with the guy.
Really? Because he was also
And so
Mr. Bond in the kind of...
Derek Meddings, was he?
I think so, yeah. In the heyday of Roger Moore's era, certainly. Spy Love Me, I think he did all the big oil tankers and stuff like that.
I was just thinking, if he did all the work on the Jerry Anderson stuff on Thunderbird, he probably did a cracking job on version 1 of the movie Batmobile, until they pointed out that it was only an eighth of the size that it needed to be.
Yeah.
Kind of a Spinal Tap Stonehenge. Fine, but it's supposed to be,
That
4 metres
Batmobile,
tall.
the Batmobile from the reinvention, the rebirth of The Dark Knight, which was very much modelled on Thrust 1, wasn't it? With that great big...
I'd forgotten
But it was
about
based on a
that,
Corvette,
yeah.
wasn't it? They used
No,
wasn't it?
you're thinking of the one that was in the Arnie Batman movie, the one that was based on the Corvette, I think, which had the Batwing at the back as well. But it was basically Thrust 1. Did we call it that? Thrust, or Thrust 2?
It's like World War One. We didn't call it that at the time.
Yeah, that's right, we
It was
didn't
just called
know.
the Great Thrust.
Yeah, exactly. You only had the digits later.
And I thought that was a heroic redesign of Batman. But of course, they've got references from the reinvention of Batman comics, which gave them somewhere to go. But the reinvention of Batman, the cars in the graphic novel, if I recall, was more like the original 1940s Batmobile. Do you remember the original Batmobile? Almost Art Deco. I've gone deep Batman.
I can remember what the original Batman character looked like, but I can't remember what the original Batmobile looked like.
It was a car of that period, 1940s. There was a TV version of it as well, but it looked more like a gangster car, but it was black. That was the wonderful thing. It was matte black through and through and through.
Of course, the great thing about Batman being around for so long is that he eventually, as with so many of these things, the technology that he had to himself trickled down into road cars, which is how we now have parking sensors.
And the atomic
And all the
batteries.
remote kind of
technology.
remote start and
technology.
everything.
And phones, car phones. Batman had a car phone. Commissioner Gordon on the hotline there.
Did he?
Yeah.
That was always one of those things that I think he wasn't alone in that. A lot of the
Spies,
semi-futuristic thing of
yeah.
spies had car phones. And it seemed like the work of a madman to suggest such a thing. And now...
But now we've got tiny video cameras in our phones, and we're about to have them all in our watches. And well, no, you can already get a video camera in a watch. And,
Can you? I just ordered one of those
It's
little
rubbish,
pebble
but, yeah.
watches, that sinks into your phone. And I can't decide whether that's the best idea ever or actually deeply irritating. But
I think
it
anything that's going
Bluetooths your phone so that it tells you when your phone's ringing.
and anything that's going to connect and disconnect to your phone when you sort of go out of range, no, that's going to be really annoying. Terrible idea.
You know what you want, Richard? You want a phone that can control, I don't know, a BMW 7 Series by remote? You'd like that, wouldn't
Round
you?
Brent
with a
Cross
little-
shopping
with a
centre
little
car
touch
park.
button, yeah.
That's where they shot that, didn't they? That Bond
Is that what it
film.
was? Yeah.
It was all done at Brent Cross.
We're talking about which Bond film was it?
Oh, it's one of those ones of the Brosnan not very good ones. Is it
It's the one
Tomorrow
with
Never Dies?
it's the one with Price.
Or The World's Not
Jonathan
Enough.
Price,
yeah.
who's from Hollywood, like me.
Really?
Jonathan Price, yeah. He used to deliver our milk, his family.
Well, now he's turned out all evil. And
I know, I had no
and James Bond had to shoot him
idea.
in the
What's
face.
happened in North Wales?
But yeah, when he's driving that BMW by remote from his phone in the back of a 7 Series, that was done in Brent Cross Shopping Centre in North London. And they had to get in a load of left-hand drive cars to make it look plausibly like Germany, where it was supposed to be. And then some people who lived nearby rang the fire brigade because it was a Sunday when the shops were shut.
And they were firing missiles. And
Well, they had all
blowing-
this smoke coming out of the multi-storey car park because of their special
Yeah.
effects, and people thought that Brent Cross was on fire. So I'm just
So
coming
that-
up
that-
full of
that's
trivia
good
this
trivia.
evening.
I like
I'm
that.
sorry.
I like that.
Listen, I'll set him up, you knock him in, mate. Batmobiles...
No, we're back to Batmobiles again.
The most recent Batmobile is the one that they call the Tumbler, which has those very prominent front wheels with great big monster truck dune buggy tyres on them, which is a nice, reinvention of the Batmobile. It would be a military vehicle, wouldn't it? It's like a mega hub.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's supposed to be
urban vehicle.
Wayne Industries is a military supplier.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's a bridge crossing vehicle. It's supposed to leap across.
It's all fits in.
For me, next Batmobile would either be the Delta Wing or that VW XL1. Batman should be lightweight and eco-friendly, shouldn't he? Can you imagine that painted black? It would look like a cruise missile.
I'm not so sure. In the Batman films, in fact, in the last one, the one that's just been out most recently, he's got an Aventador, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. He
the one before, I think he had
yeah.
a Murcielago.
Yeah.
So Batman is a Lambo man, which makes sense.
Yeah. Why?
Because Lambos are very...
Batmobile.
They're Playboys kind of cars.
Yeah,
And,
in fact, why does he need the Batmobile?
his...
Just use the Aventador the whole time.
It would be a giveaway. People would say, you're Bruce Wayne. I'm going to... I can't say catch his children or his parents. That one's a no-goer. I'm going to take your girlfriend as hostage now I know who you are. You see, he has to maintain
Well, he
that
could
difference.
have... All right, he'd have a bright yellow Aventador for when he's being a Playboy Bruce Wayne, and then just a black one.
You'd never know then,
when he's
wouldn't you?
Batman. And people go, hey, Bruce Wayne's got a car just like that. I don't know who you mean.
Being Batman, it'd be touch of a button, change his colour.
We must form an owners club. And then he would have like a fake owners club meeting, and he'd say, no, sorry, I'm in here with Bruce Wayne, but don't come in because you're wearing a bikini.
But you're right, the Batmobile did have that sort of shielding tech at some point, didn't it?
That was super. Yeah, when you park in a dodgy part of town, that's just what you need.
Best car gag in a film? It's a Bond reference. Where, I don't know which Bond film
Is it a visual gag involving a fish?
No, it's not that one, but it involves, I think, that car.
Ooh, okay.
This car is burglar protected. There's a sign in the window.
Oh, that's later on, isn't it? That's the next one. It's an octopus. I think it's a bronze Esprit at this point, or a sort of reddy brown one, and with the skis on it.
And they put their hands on it. That's right. Yes.
Oh, no, he's about to break the window with an Uzi or some kind of submachine gun, and you get the shot of him just pulling back his arm to break the window, and then you get boom.
We've got to wrap this, but have you got any favourite worst cars in films, or worst car moments in films that you can think of off the top of your head?
I just get annoyed when they don't do cars properly, when there are things that are so glaringly done wrong that you think, if they've got this so wrong with costume or sound effects in any other part of the film, people will be all over them. But somehow with cars, maybe it's because we know too much about cars, they're allowed free pass. That film Drive, which I find a curious and mostly terrible film, where there's all sorts of things, including a car reversing at high speed and it appears to change gear.
Whoa!
Which will be a sound editing mistake
Yes,
rather than
it is.
anything else.
But what I mean is, a sound editing mistake.
It's a car detail
on
mistake.
Something, yes. You just go, well, no, surely a sound editor must still have a car, particularly if he works in the greater Los Angeles area.
Well, it's easy because we don't have time to discuss this now, because I think Drive is a cracking movie, but you're right, that it's actually not much of a car movie.
No, it's not at all. I seem to remember that Autocar magazine reviewed it in slightly disparaging terms because they felt the title was misleading.
Well,
and if you're watching this to watch some cars, you'll be disappointed. And it's like, no, I was disappointed because I just thought it was a bit of a crappy film. It was just like some kind of student project.
Carrie Mulligan's character, in a sense, didn't ring true because she didn't.
Yeah.
It was hard to believe that character was in that situation. But nonetheless, I believe the romance between her and Ryan Gosling, and Ron Perlman is terrific in, I think, everything he's been in. He's never bad in a movie. I loved it, but you're right that in a lot of car stuff you can pick holes in, and it's not a car movie, but it's a movie. It's a good one.
Well, it's certainly a movie.
It's certainly a film. We can agree on that. It is a film.
Okay, answer me this then, boys. Here's a movie I've never wanted to watch because frankly I'm frightened of it. It's very much a car movie. Give me a yay or a nay. Should I ever bother watching The Fast and the Furious and its sequels?
It's got Vin Diesel in it. Of course you should watch it.
Richard?
Well, I'm not really qualified to say because about 6 years ago a mate of mine lent me The Fast and Furious on DVD. I still haven't watched it.
Right.
And I've still got the DVD, so if my mate Rowley's listening, sorry, you can have it back. I'm not going to get that.
Oh, quick thought. This is for you, Gareth. If you haven't seen Harold and Maude yet, you have to see it. And I'm actually not going to tell you why if you haven't seen it.
All right.
But you have to see
Slater in it.
It's almost as good as that
Really?
from Gareth's
Oh my
point of
God.
view.
Harold and Maude.
You both have to see this film, Harold and Maude.
Okay. Do you have to see Harold first and then Maude? Or can you watch some...
As it happens, you do see Harold first, as far as I remember. It's got some great black humour in it, some wonderful fake suicide moments.
Oh, I love them. They're my
It's a
favourites.
phrase you never hear very often.
You've been listening to Richard Porter,
Goodbye.
Zog,
Goodbye.
and me, Gareth. Oh, and Violet Berlin over in the distance. Thank you for your technical help, V. See ya.
To send us an email, see pictures, get song lyrics, join our Facebook fan site, follow us on Twitter, or to find out about sponsorship opportunities, go to garethjones.tv. Gareth Jones on Speed is made in London by Whiz Bang.
Gareth Jones on Speed!